Welcome to a new video in the course TBMT 33. And this is a little bit of an introduction before you have your first oral presentation. So it's just some initial stuff about systems biology presentations. As before, this is part of the teaching material of ispgroup.eu, and you're free to use it if you want. And we are here in the beginning of the course. We handed in the documents and we are supposed now to do a presentation. So, 3 things. Why bother about giving good presentations? What should you actually present? And things to think about. So why bother giving good presentations? Well, here is just one argument, which is a little bit specific to this course, but it also has some general implications. So after this course is over, you will be given the option, or at the second half of this course, you will be given the option, as we do every year, to take in, to be one of the 5, maybe even up to 10 students that we take in for an internship, to keep working on a similar project to that you have been doing. And this can be either as a summer job, or what is actually even more interesting for us if you want to devote an entire semester to this, or ideally actually even an entire year. And here we do have scholarships. We don't have an unlimited amount of scholarships, but we can give some scholarships to do this kind of internships, either for the summer or for a semester or up to a year. And I would say that about 50% of the impression of the applicants that come in will come from how they are presenting. And here I should say that it's not only in the oral presentations, but it's actually when you are presenting and communicating in general. And most of these things are very, very general concepts of how to actually communicate in a coherent and meaningful and convincing way. And I would say that we in the education spend far too little time. So if 50% of the impression comes from how you are communicating, and we are spending maybe 1% of the education on learning how to communicate, then learning a little bit will improve you a lot. And I should say that these ratios, they are, I would say, at least there for the majority of work situations, that it's really important to know all these general things, how to communicate and how to present yourself and your project in a convincing way. So it's really important to be good at giving presentations. And here I am now borrowing a little bit, or reminding you of the general principles. So this is described in the general principles, which is the first video in the writing skills. And these are that you should adopt the message and the presentation to who you are talking to. So not say anything that he or she doesn't understand. You should have a logical structure, very, very important to have a logical structure that is very clear, so you know why you're listening to what you're listening to and where you're going. You need to think about the format. What kind of format are you? So what are the rules? What are the limitations? And then the final thing, which is the magic. How do you actually make people listen when you are talking or when you are writing? Yes, and as I said in this video, I think this is really generally important, not only for giving good presentations, but actually when you're just talking to somebody in a discussion. It's really, at least according to me, I'm using this very, very much to judge the quality of a person, and as a student and as a potential co-worker. Right. So now we're talking about the first presentation. So then you're just supposed to give the background. And here the background and introduction is roughly the same as you do in the version 1 of the report. So here you can again go to the video that describes how to write a background section or an introduction section, and very much will be the same. So we'll go fairly quickly through it now. So the first thing to think about is that you should bring everybody up to speed about the basic knowledge that they need to understand the question. The second thing is that you should actually zoom in on the latest development so that you give the reader the feeling that your specific question, your specific project is both utterly important and the next logical step. So the background therefore prepares for the purpose specification, so the aim specification. What are you going to do? And you can also give a little mini summary of how the results of the thesis, of the project, of the paper, or whatever you are presenting is going to be structured. And in the first oral presentation, this is basically all that you talk about. And here, this is now, I will go this through fairly quickly because this is again taken from this previous video. So, typical systems biology background structure. You want to convince the listener that what you say is important. And typically this is because you have some medical application in the end. So you have some disease which you need to convince him that it's the listener that it's an important disease. It's spreading rapidly, it's costly. And then you start to zoom in. Certain aspects are known, others are not. And if it's a systems biology project, probably you will end up here that the complexity is a key thing here. And handling complexity is difficult by just looking at the data. So you need some kind of way of handling complexity. And here systems biology is such a way. And then you, the logical next thing is to talk about what systems biology is. So you give some background references to systems biology, you talk about what the basic components are and give some key references. And you basically convince the reader that the systems biology is a good way of dealing with this complexity and a feeling for what the systems biology is. And then you move on to more details of what has been done in terms of systems biology before, what kind of models exist, and what do they have, and how does that relate to the complexity problems and to the aspects that are not known about the disease. So you need to zoom in on something that hasn't been done in the previous models, but that they sort of can do as the next logical step. So this is where the sort of zooming in ends up. So you have these models, which is a good approach, but they have done some good things, but they haven't done the thing which is really the next logical step if you want to understand this important disease. And then it's very natural to say that what we did is that we actually used the models, we further developed the models to answer this important question. And then you may specify some details, and then you talk a little bit about the structure. So this is a very typical systems biology background structure. It's applicable to almost any project. And importance comes from here, zooming in, next logical step comes as you move along here. Okay, so for the first oral presentation, you have about 10 to 15 minutes, and you should do this kind of background structure that I just repeated from the how to write the background structure. And you should state the aims, but you don't have to go into the detailed requirements. And then there are some optional things that you can talk about if you want, which is how the project will be structured, how you will do the time reporting and the communication within the group and so on. If you think you have some cool solution to some of these things, you can actually talk about these things as well. Yes, so finally some general things about how to give presentations. So the challenge is actually, if you do a scientific presentation, when you have short amount of time, 10 to 15 minutes, and you have a complicated thing which is basically new, is to just get anything across. It's common when you listen to a presentation that you haven't understood anything. So just to get anything across is actually the key challenge. And to solve that challenge is more important than to be complete and 100% correct. So that's a little bit different compared to writing, when it should be much more stringent. Here it's more important to get anything across. And the key thing here is to start easy and to really make sure that you explain all the concepts before you use them. Because the minute you start to use words that the audience doesn't understand, you lose them, and then you are basically lost. A specific requirements here is that you need to catch the attention of the audience, and you do that by looking at them, by interacting with them. So you cannot do that if you have some piece of paper that you're looking at all the time and you're just reading from it. So you need to learn the structure, and you need to learn what you're supposed to say. And if you know the logical structure, it will be fairly easy to do that. So don't write entire sentences that you look at. Maybe you have a complicated word or two. And to sort of stimulate the understanding that this is the key challenge to get anything across, and to start easy so that people understand at least the basics, there will be two prizes. One for the person who asks the most question, which is again is a measure of intelligence, that you actually can understand a presentation that is very short, and you can grasp the key. You can grasp enough so that you can actually ask an intelligent question, or just any question about the project. So that will be one prize, and the second prize will be to the group that gets the most questions. So these are the two prizes that will be awarded both in the first and the second project presentation event. So that's it for this video.